Massive storm, Hurricane Irene.
Irene is expected to be a Category 1 hurricane when it slams into the city.
Hurricane Irene is quickly strengthening as it cuts a path of destruction.
Jersey's Governor Chris Christie is monitoring the situation from the Regional Operations Intelligence Center in Ewing, New Jersey. He joins us right now. Governor Christie, thanks for coming on to the show.
It really hit the riverine sections of the state pretty bad. It wasn't a coastal flood. So when those rivers peaked, they crested. The overflow of the waters devastated townships. The water came up in some homes 6, 8 feet high. I remember the town I grew up in, you couldn't see the top of stores. They were completely underwater. I know my parents' house had 4 feet of water. There was trash out in front of people's houses for weeks. It was devastating to the communities up there.
My name is Steve Hauck. I'm the owner of S.J. Hauck Construction. S.J. Hauck Construction is a full-service home elevation construction company. So S.J. Hauck has a full office staff, and we have a project administrator in that office staff that primarily focuses on permits. With the permit, we need engineered drawings, we need the architectural drawings, we also need all the subcodes from the different industries that are being done as far as electric, plumbing, HVAC, fire, house lifting, permits needed. Once all that stuff's gathered, we then submit to zoning. Zoning, they typically have 10 days to respond. Zoning is primarily looking at like setbacks and the elevations, making sure it's not violating any type of conforming setback regulation. After zoning is approved, it then gets transferred over to building. We then need to get disconnects. So disconnects, S.J. Hauck's team works very closely with the homeowner in disconnecting their utilities. Electric needs to be disconnected, gas needs to be disconnected. The water and sewer need to be disconnected as well. So we work real closely with the homeowner to guide them through that process, because the process of getting a permit can take some time. So what we try to do is we try to get on things in a timely manner. The other thing we also try to do is coordinate homeowner move out. So when we have to disconnect utilities inside of a house, the homeowner's gonna have to move out. So what we typically try to do is we try to pass zoning, and then we try to be in building. And the last thing we try to submit to the building department is the disconnects, because at that point we'll have a very clear idea when that permit may be released, so we then can schedule disconnects and schedule the move out. And what that ends up doing is it minimizes the amount of time the homeowner's out of the house before construction starts. So once the homeowner's moved out of the house, we always make sure we winterize that house, because if the project goes into the winter months, pipes can freeze. So we winterize the house, we get the house prepared to be lifted. At that point in time, we have a production meeting. A project manager is assigned to the job. He comes out and he meets the homeowner on site to then again review the scope of what's being done to their home on site. So if they have any questions, they can answer them at that point.
If they have any questions, we go through each line item that's in the scope, and we discuss any potential issues that we see. We discuss our builder trend application that we offer to follow a construction schedule. By law, we need to offer this to the homeowner. Our choice is through the builder trend application, where they can access pictures throughout the process. They can follow the schedule. If they're not in the area for a couple weeks at a time, they can always see where we're at as far as the construction being done at the house.
After all the homeowner's questions are answered on site as far as what's going on with the home elevation project, we then begin actual construction. We set up a job box with plans in it, we put a sign on it, we put a safety sign up, we secure the site for the construction project.
First thing S.J. Hauck does when they show up on the job site once a permit is released is pre-lift demolition. Pre-lift demolition is pretty much getting rid of anything that's not being elevated with the home. Concrete, slabs, stairs that aren't being reused, decks if they're not being elevated with the home. Just getting anything out of the way that's not being elevated with the home. Then it's prepping for the home to be elevated, which could be anywhere from a 2 to 5 day process, that's depending on the size of the home, is prepping the home, shooting the steel underneath the home, building our crib stacks, setting jacks, and elevating the home. Once the home is elevated, there's a cribbing inspection done on the property. Once the cribbing inspection is complete, the guys would move forward with either pouring a footing, prepping a footing for inspection, or prepping a bond beam for inspection if we're saving the existing footing and block. Once the bond beam is complete and grout filled, they would continue with however many courses are required to reach the base flood elevation according to the plans. A foundation inspection is then done. A top of block or top of foundation survey is done to confirm the height of the new foundation. Sill plates are added and a sill plate inspection is done, and then the home is set back on the new foundation.
Once the house is set, we remove all of our steel and our lifting equipment, and we begin building decks. We might run a new water and sewer from the street and pipe that up into the foundation. We begin to level out the grade, and we begin to build the decks. We install sonotubes, which are the footings for the decks. We build decks and we side it. We want to get the house watertight as fast as possible. Sometimes siding is removed, or on a slab grade home, there might be openings in the side of the house from the lifting process. So we get the outside of that house looking pretty much complete. Then we move inside. We do rough electric and rough plumbing. Once rough electric's passed, rough plumbing's passed, then we can insulate and drywall if insulation and drywall is disturbed on that project. From there, we begin to move into the finishes. Final electric, final plumbing. Once we pass all our inspections and the house is nearing its end, we do our own punch list. We'll walk the house ourselves, draw up a punch list, execute that. Once that's executed, we then do a walkthrough with the homeowner. That homeowner walkthrough, there may be a punch list. We then execute that. So once the homeowner moves back in the house and there's a certificate of occupancy issued, we're still involved with the project. That's when our administrative staff is involved, because we want to see this project through to the end.
It really preserves the community. It allows people who have bought their homes, grown up in their homes, watch their children grow up, go to the local schools. It keeps that intact. It keeps the sense of community in that town, right? So for towns to push acquisition, it's disrupting. It's disrupting to neighbors aesthetically. It doesn't always look great when you drive down a block, a city block, and you have homes scattered here and there, but then green space. So the money that they're saving, the town, the residents are saving, well, they're putting that money back into the community. And communities are strong because of that.
Home elevation works. We've seen it work in Pequannock. We've seen it work in other communities. It is the most viable option for residential flood mitigation.